Harvard versus Trump administration. The battle over academic independence. In a dramatic turn of events that has captured the attention of academics, policymakers, and the general public alike, Harvard University has filed a formal lawsuit against the Trump administration. The move comes after the federal government threatened to withdraw billions of dollars in federal funding unless the university agreed to stricter governmental oversight of its curriculum and research practices. At the heart of the legal battle lies a fundamental debate over academic freedom, governmental control, and the role of higher education in American democracy. The trigger: federal threats and conditional funding. According to court documents and public statements released by Harvard's legal team, the university accuses the administration of leveraging financial pressure to impose ideological control over educational content. The Trump administration has allegedly frozen $2.2 billion in existing research funds and threatened to retract an additional $1 billion if Harvard fails to comply with new transparency and accountability guidelines. These guidelines reportedly include regular audits of course material, approval of research projects by a federal review board, and restrictions on international collaborations. The federal government argues that such oversight is necessary to ensure that taxpayer money is being used responsibly and to prevent the spread of what it refers to as anti-American propaganda in higher education institutions. Harvard, however, contends that these actions amount to political interference and represent a direct violation of constitutional protections regarding academic independence and free expression. Historical context: academia and government tensions. This clash is not without precedent. Throughout U.S. history, tensions between academic institutions and the government have flared, especially during politically charged eras. From the McCarthy era's purge of subversive university professors to debates over military funding for research during the Vietnam War, American universities have often found themselves at odds with federal agendas. However, what sets this latest confrontation apart is the scale and scope of the federal government's demands. Never before has a U.S. president threatened to cut such a big, significant portion of a university's funding in exchange for direct influence over its curriculum. Harvard's president, Dr. Elise Garber, has publicly stated that the university will not be coerced into becoming an ideological echo chamber, and vowed to fight the administration's mandates in court and, if necessary, in the court of public opinion. Implications for the academic world. The lawsuit's implications extend far beyond Harvard's ivy-covered halls. If the administration succeeds in its efforts, it could set a precedent that allows the federal government to shape educational standards and academic discourse nationwide. Other prestigious institutions, including Yale, Stanford, and the University of Chicago, have issued statements of solidarity with Harvard, expressing concern over what they describe as an unprecedented and dangerous encroachment on academic liberty. Faculty unions and educational nonprofits have also voiced alarm, warning that such political pressures could result in self-censorship among scholars, decreased innovation in research, and a chilling effect on university teaching. This is not just about Harvard. It's about whether universities in America can remain centers of critical thought and independent inquiry, said Dr. Manuel Ortiz, director of the Academic Freedom Initiative. The political angle. Critics argue that the Trump administration's actions are politically motivated, aimed at institutions perceived as liberal strongholds. Harvard, often cited by conservative commentators as a bastion of left-leaning ideology, has been a frequent target of right-wing media and lawmakers. By challenging the university's funding, the administration may be seeking to galvanize its political base while weakening one of its ideological opponents. However, supporters of the administration claim that the move is long overdue and necessary to balance the scales in academia. They argue that elite institutions have been shielded from accountability for too long and that greater transparency would help root out bias and ensure educational content reflects a more patriotic narrative. What's at stake? The legal battle could take months or even years to resolve, but the stakes are already clear. Billions of dollars in scientific and medical research funding hang in the balance, as do thousands of jobs and ongoing projects that could be disrupted if Harvard loses access to federal grants. Fields ranging from climate science to cancer research could be adversely affected, with ripple effects felt across the global academic community. Moreover, the lawsuit raises urgent questions about the role of government in shaping what students learn and how knowledge is produced. Should elected officials have the authority to influence curricula at public and private universities? Or does such control violate the foundational principles of academic freedom and intellectual autonomy? A turning point for American higher education. As Harvard prepares for its legal showdown with the federal government, universities across the country are watching closely. Some have begun reviewing their own federal funding agreements, while others are considering legal protections against similar political pressure. The American Council on Education has called for an emergency summit to discuss coordinated action in support of academic independence. Meanwhile, students and faculty are mobilizing. Rallies in support of Harvard have erupted on campuses nationwide, and social media is abuzz with the hashtag #DefendAcademicFreedom. For many, the lawsuit represents more than a budget dispute. It symbolizes the broader struggle to protect the integrity of education in a polarized nation. Conclusion. The confrontation between Harvard and the Trump administration is shaping up to be one of the most consequential legal battles in the history of American higher education. At stake is not just funding, but the very nature of what it means to teach, learn, and think freely in a democratic society. Whether the courts side with Harvard or the federal government, the outcome will leave a lasting mark on the academic landscape for generations to come.